Are you a freelancer, 1099er, or a participant in the growing gig economy? If so, you might find that trying to keep track of all your business expenses can be a daunting task. That's why, as a freelancer myself, about a year ago, I signed up for Quickbooks Self-Employed. I'm going to give you my full review in this video. Hey everyone, this is Kyle from Dire News and Money at 30, and today I'm going to give you an overview of QuickBooks Self-Employed, and more importantly, share with you how it's allowed me to save money on my taxes and make running my business easier overall. As I mentioned, I first signed up for QuickBooks Self-Employed just over a year ago, and the initial reason for that was that I had just made it through tax time and realized that that was just a disaster trying to go through and find everything I needed in order to complete my tax returns. So after that, it was actually my father, who happens to do my taxes, that recommended I look into some sort of service that I could use to keep track of everything. Around that same time, I actually heard an ad on a podcast for QuickBooks Self-Employed, and it even included a promo code so I could save a few dollars. Anyway, so I used QuickBooks for the entire year, and then when tax time came this past April, I have to say, I crushed it. Because I could easily compile all of my business expenses for itemization, my wife and I actually ended up getting a tax refund last year, which is crazy. So before I go much further, let me back up and get into some of the features of QuickBooks Self-Employed. So the first section of QuickBooks Self-Employed is transactions. Basically, when you get started with QuickBooks, you'll be able to link your credit card, debit card, and other accounts, and then view transactions across all of those different platforms. What's great about this is that you'll be able to label all of your different transactions as personal, business, or even split them between two different types. For business transactions, you can actually go in and further categorize them, which will come in handy during tax time. Admittedly, going through each of your transactions one by one can be a bit tedious, which is why QuickBooks allows you to set rules. By adding a rule, purchases from certain vendors or locations will automatically be categorized for you in the future. Better yet, you can actually have your rules apply to past transactions, which could save you a decent amount of time. Of course, I should also note that you can use the QuickBooks app to categorize your transactions as personal or business by swiping left or right. Yes, it's like Tinder for your finances. The next section I want to talk about is mileage. Now, as a freelance writer, I don't do a ton of driving for my job, but there have been times where I've had to take a road trip for an article I was writing, or drive to the airport for a business trip, and these all count as business mileage. And in case you're not aware, business mileage can actually be quite lucrative. In fact, last year the rate was 54 cents per mile, which obviously can add up quite quickly. So in my case, the times that I have used business mileage, I've done it all manually by looking my odometer when I leave, checking again when I get back, and writing down the difference and entering it into QuickBooks. However, if you do drive a lot for your business, you might want to check out the QuickBooks app, which actually has an auto tracker, which could save you some hassle. So the next section is taxes, which, as I mentioned, was one of the main reasons I decided to buy the software. If you're not currently paying quarterly taxes and you're not even familiar with them, first of all, you might want to check out the article John wrote for Dire News, which I'll link to in the description below. Basically, the idea of quarterly taxes is that you prepay your tax bill up front by making 4 payments throughout the year. Of course, the hard part here is guessing exactly how much you should be paying, because who knows how much they'll make from month to month. This is where QuickBooks is helpful, because it'll actually estimate your quarterly tax payments based on your business income versus your business expenses, and also figure in things like mileage. Of course, just because you're a freelancer doesn't necessarily mean that you need to pay quarterly taxes, so there's also support for just regular yearly taxes as well. The next section I want to talk about is invoices, which, as the name implies, makes it really easy to send out invoices to your clients. In fact, in addition to just sending out invoices, you can also sign up to receive payments through QuickBooks as well. However, you should be aware that this service will take 2.9% plus an additional 25 cents out of your earnings. The last section we have to discuss is reports. Incidentally, this is where a small grip of my father's comes into play. When we were doing my taxes, I realized I couldn't find a great way to export all of my data from QuickBooks and upload it into TurboTax, which he was using to file for me. What's weird about this is that both programs are owned by the same people, so you think that'd be a little bit easier to do. That said, it was really easy to generate a number of reports, including a spreadsheet with all of my different spending categories that really came in handy when I was itemizing my deductions. It should also be noted that just because I couldn't find the export for TurboTax doesn't necessarily mean that the option isn't there. So as you can probably tell, overall I feel like QuickBooks Self-Employed is a great tool for freelancers and entrepreneurs, and one that comes at a very affordable price. In fact, right now the site is actually offering 50% off for your first 6 months. So I hope you found my review and personal experience with QuickBooks to be insightful, and for more information, be sure to check out the description box below, where I'll have a link to my full written review on Dire News. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your own adventures in freelancing.